Okay, aloha. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Dr. Catherine Taketa-Wong, and I'm a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist. And we have here with us a special guest today, Anna. And so just want to welcome you. I'm just going to start out with some basic things. For those of you who aren't familiar with my background, so I am a naturopathic physician and an acupuncturist. And for those of you who aren't familiar with naturopathic physicians, we're trained as primary care physicians. And as such, I can order lab tests, write prescriptions, and do school physicals just like other doctors. However, a big difference is that naturopathic doctors are trained in using diet, herbs, vitamins, and other types of natural medicines to help address the underlying causes of disease and treating the whole person. And I also have a master's degree in Oriental medicine, which allows me to include Chinese medicine and acupuncture in my treatment protocols. So before we begin, I want to let you know that if you have health concerns that you'd like to talk with me about, we do offer a no-charge phone consultation. So the 15-minute phone consultation is an opportunity where you can talk with me about your condition and then coming up with a plan to be able to help you the most. So arranging a consultation is very easy. Just call our office at 808-425-2987 and let our staff know that you're interested in no charge phone consultation. So for today's event, we'll be talking with Anna about her son who started to see me, it was about a year ago for autism treatment. And Ethan has made a lot of heartwarming progress. So before we started working with him, he would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning with night terrors and waking up his parents with shrieking. And then Anna will tell us a little bit more about all of that too. So, and if you can remember your worst morning of being sleep deprived and then imagine what that would be like for you to feel that every day, then you'll have a little idea to start to understand what their life was like. So, something that, was some of the main concerns for the family is that Ethan didn't want to be touched. So no hugs, very little conversation, and a lot of frustration. And there were a lot of other problems, but we'll get into those with Ethan's mom. So we'll also find out the heartwarming examples of how far Ethan has progressed. So let's get started, and please feel free to use the comment section to ask questions as the talk progresses. So I want to introduce you here to Anna, one of our truly dedicated autism moms, and who's so inspiring to all of us. So again, I want to thank you for taking your time out and being here today. And our purpose, really is to just help to inspire other families. So knowing that particularly with autism, that treatments are available that can help children with autism. And also knowing that there are treatments for a lot of other conditions too. There's many conditions that can be very helpful with natural medicine. We just want to help inspire and encourage people. So if you could just tell us a little bit about what Ethan was like before you guys started coming.
Well, there's a lot of things that were going on. Still, but a lot more before. Ethan would wake up in the middle of the night, but not like his body was awake. He would be screaming at the top of his lungs, and we would try to comfort him. Like, Ethan, are you okay? And the more we try to comfort him, the more he would scream. And sometimes he'd last an hour screaming at the top of his lungs. And I'm pretty sure the neighbors were like, "What's going on?
Right? Yeah.
Is he okay?" And it was affecting his day-to-day life because he wasn't sleeping well, and we weren't sleeping well. So that only increased his frustration in the daytime as well. And he had a lot of tantrums. He was going to Easter seals. He had a VA treatment, occupational therapy, and that did help. But we started seeing a lot more differences once we started coming here with you.
Yeah.
Like he would have a lot of tantrums. I remember they would ask me, "How many tantrums does he have a day?" 20, maybe more. He'd run around in circles. He'd almost hit walls because he's super hyper. He just didn't know how to get that energy out. And even though we have a trampoline in our living room, that wasn't enough. Yeah, he didn't look at us. He would, if we would say his name, he would not look at us. It would take a lot. Like we'd have to get in his face, and even then he would just look the other way. I don't know why. He just wanted to look anywhere but us. And, yeah, and he was constipated constantly.
Yeah.
And didn't want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and that's really common with a lot of children with autism. And I think outside of the autism community, I think most people don't realize that it's really common for children with autism to have some kind of digestive problem. So it's really, really common that I see children with autism that have constipation. A lot of them have diarrhea. A lot of them they have trouble saying that they have tummy pain, but you'll see it manifest like in behaviors. So there was a research study that was published by a Harvard pediatric gastroenterologist, which is a doctor that specializes in digestive issues, and it was directly said in the research study that he talked about that behavior problems like meltdowns and even self-injurious behaviors like banging their head.
Yes, he would do that.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, banging their head on the wall or on the floor. That can be a manifestation of pain, and a lot of times it's a result of pain in the digestive system.
Yeah, like he would bang his head purposely, just bang his head, and I would try to stop him.
Right. Yeah.
I even considered getting a helmet for him, but he didn't want anything on his head. He didn't want showers. He didn't want his face to get wet. He didn't want his hair touched. Didn't want his hair cut. Just jumping all over the place all over the time.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of children with autism have a lot of what are called sensory problems.
Yeah, and
too.
He has, especially for him, specifically vision. It's too much to handle, and hearing. He can hear the tiniest sound. He hears everything all at once. I can only imagine how bad it must be for him and for others like him.
Right, yeah. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with sensory issues, so sensory problems can manifest when there's an oversensitivity or an undersensitivity to sensory input. So that can be sounds, sight, like flashing lights, and also to touch. So a lot of children with autism are really oversensitive or undersensitive to touch. So I see some children, for example, that will, you touch them on their head or particularly around their ears, and haircuts, trying to cut their hair. It's a problem where it's not a problem with their actual sensory receptors in their skin, like the pressure or pain receptors in their skin itself, but it's a problem where the brain's interpretation of that sensory input is abnormal. And so, touch on the head or on the ears can actually be painful to a lot of these kids. Or I've seen undersensitivity where some kids will like step on a tack and not even flinch, not even react at all.
And that's one of his things. He is undersensitive on certain touch, proprioceptive, and so he needs to pound his feet on the ground all the time. He needs to bounce and jump and like throw himself against pillows.
Right.
And so he has like flat pillows all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want blanket. He doesn't want the blanket touching him, but he wants the weight of the pillows
right.
to go to sleep. So
yeah,
a little bit too much of something and not enough of something else.
Right.
Throws them off.
Right. And those are due to some of the difficulties with basically brain function, so the brain's interpretation of that sensory input. And even what you were saying about eye contact, because my brother is on this autism spectrum, and I remember when he was a baby, that was one of the first signs that we saw, that we would try to look at him, and most babies will like smile or coo or respond, and my brother didn't want to look at us. Like he would just, we would try to turn to look at him and he would like turn his head the other way, and so same kind of thing, and we'd go and try to look at him on the other side, and then he would turn his head the other way, and it wasn't like, some babies kind of do that like in play where they're like laughing, but that wasn't the case for my brother. I mean, he wasn't trying to play. Like he would get really annoyed and he would start crying like if we tried to make eye contact with him. So that's one of the earliest manifestations of autism.
So that was the
Right.
first sign that he wouldn't look at anybody or respond to his name.
Yeah.
That's when I got really scary.
Right.
What's going on with my
Right.
little boy?
Right. Yeah. And then if you could talk about some of the things that, I've recommended, I know we've had to make a lot of changes in terms of diet and other things. So if you could talk about some of those interventions that, you guys have implemented and then what you've seen in terms of improvement.
Definitely. The number one has to be diet for him. We assumed, because I had researched and I had also talked to a lot of the therapists at the Easter Seals, that they saw a lot of allergies associated with the symptoms that the children were manifesting. And we figured maybe gluten, soy, corn. I have allergies, so it's understandable that he would have allergies too. And I started removing culprits like dairy and soy and like food coloring, preservatives, extra things that we don't need. High crumb fructose syrup is one of the ones that makes him very, very hyper. It's hard for him to go to sleep. So he was having a lot of sleep problems. We couldn't get him down for a nap. And in order for him to go to sleep at night, it would take maybe 2 hours sometimes. And sometimes he wouldn't go to sleep until midnight. And once we started removing the dairy and the eggs, he started going to sleep, started taking naps, and I could rest. Because it was really hard. I would fall asleep before he would sometimes, and it's kind of scary when you have a toddler awake in the middle of the night. Not something you want, but he couldn't go to sleep, and it would make him grumpy. So also CBD oil. It's one of his favorite things. I give it to him right before he goes to bed, and that's his incentive. Do you want some? Okay, gotta get in bed, and it has a sweet flavor, so he likes the blueberry flavor. I give him 5 drops, and it calms him down. I've given it to him in the middle of the day as well when he's super aggressive, and it helps. Also have GABA, the little. I open it up and mix it with water, give it to him. It does calm him. Also, what is it? So many things. Yeah. It's hard to keep up sometimes, especially, I'm not that organized. But I try, because I know that it does help him. Yeah. It helps him a lot. Yeah. Could you remind me of some of the things? My mind is
So, but I mean, definitely, like, I just wanted to explain about some of the things, that you had talked about. So, like, for example, the CBD oil. So that's cannabidiol oil. And so it's an extract from the cannabis plant. So it's hemp oil. And a lot of people have questions about CBD and things like that. But I think most people who've heard of it know that CBD oil itself is not a controlled substance. You don't need a medical marijuana card for it, because to be classified as hemp oil, a CBD product has to be 0.3% THC or less, and THC is the psychoactive ingredient. So there's very tiny amounts, and I've had children who are taking huge doses of CBD oil, and who I've never once seen any kind of like addictive effects or anything like that. No signs of hallucinations, but I have seen it be very helpful in terms of helping to calm anxiety, difficulty sleeping. But there's research that also finds that CBD can be helpful in terms of decreasing inflammation as well. And that's a big issue with a lot of the children. So,
I was skeptical at first about CBD oil, because you really don't, at first, if you don't know anything about it, then of course you're going to be skeptical. But once I started doing a little bit of research and then trying it with him, and he does, it's all positive. There's no negative effects on him. And that's all to help him, because he needs to be able to rest. He's a little boy, because he's still developing. He needs to grow up without that anxiety, because he does have a lot of anxiety, and that just helps him. if and somebody takes medicine for, like, I don't know, high blood pressure, why can't he take something to calm him down, to help him, because it's affecting him.
Yeah. But it is something that I found to be helpful with helping to kind of calm that tendency to the fight or flight response, where like the fight or flight response is where our heart rate gets, really fast, and we start breathing really fast, and it's a normal response to stress. But a lot of times, a lot of the children on the autism spectrum, we see issues where they're kind of stuck in this fight or flight mode all the time, So one little thing that, maybe you say no and they can't have something that they want, and then it like sets them off where they start having a meltdown for like an hour straight, they're screaming for an hour straight and they just can't calm down.
Yeah, and he used to do that, but he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And even one of the biggest things I noticed with the CBD oil is not only did it calm him down, but he used to kick constantly, just kick in bed. Like, stop kicking, and he wouldn't stop. He would just so after the CBD oil, he doesn't kick anymore, and he's able to calm, rest.
Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't have seizures, but I use it for a lot for seizures, because in seizures there tends to be overactivity, too much overactivity of the brain. And, so CBD oil has definitely been studied and well researched for seizures, and that's a condition I use it a lot for. But there's actually a lot of research where a lot of children on the autism spectrum, when they look at their brainwave patterns, they find that many of them have abnormal, what they call seizure form brain activity. So it's doesn't quite qualify as a seizure, but it's some abnormal brain electrical activity that looks kind of like where it's tending towards a seizure. And these are children that, this research study was done in children who had no outward signs of seizures at all, where they didn't have the type of seizures where they would fall down and shake, or even there's something called absent seizures where they're just kind of blanking out and staring. I mean, so this study was done in autistic children who had no signs of seizures at all, not even staring spells, nothing. But it was found that a high percentage of them did have abnormal seizure-like activity in the brain. So that's still an area of research, but it's thought that that might be one of the ways that CBD oil could be benefiting children with autism as well, because it generally helps to calm overactivity or overexcitation of the brain. Yeah.
And the other thing I'm giving him is a Taketa-Wong, a little teeny tiny tablet. I give it to him and he crunches them. He likes the texture of biting.
Yeah.
It calms him down. He used to chew on things. And he used to he clenched his jaw.
Right.
After I've been giving him the Taketa-Wong, he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I would hear all the time. Like, what are you doing? Stop doing that with your teeth. I was afraid he was gonna crack his teeth, which I've heard does happen with some children. But he doesn't do that anymore, and it kind of calms him down. Like within half an hour, he's just like calm.
Yeah. And the Taketa-Wong, that's a homeopathic remedy, and so I use homeopathic remedies too, and that's often very helpful. So Taketa-Wong is a homeopathic remedy that it doesn't make someone sleepy, but it's helpful for kind of helping to calm the mind when there's just like that mind chatter, like where it's like, especially where it's the kind where like people say, oh, I can't shut my brain off kind of a thing, so it's helpful for that. I use it quite a bit for insomnia, both in children and adults, when it's the type of insomnia where people are just like, oh, it's like I just can't shut my brain off. My brain just keeps going, so it's very helpful for that kind of thing.
And I can see it work.
Yeah.
Like when I give it to him, he already knows, like he expects to calm down, because he gets it, he sits down and he'll crunch on it. And then, have like half an hour or so, he's not going, no.
Yeah.
He calms. Sometimes when he has a really hard day, I give him a Taketa-Wong and I give him the CBD oil, because that helps him a lot. He can go to sleep right away.
Right. Yeah. And there's also some vitamins, that we recommended for him that are important for brain function. So, so we've recommended some of those. And so basically what I do in working with children with autism is that I do a lot of specialized testing to try to find out, okay, do they have food allergies? Do they have food sensitivities? Do they have, what's the cause of their gut issues? Because I know that, he would definitely have, when he first came in and I tapped on his belly, like it sounded kind of hollow, like he had a lot of air, in his belly, and that's really common. And constipation is really, really common with a lot of kids. And picky eating is a big issue with a lot of kids, that it's really hard to get them to eat healthy food.
Right. You know what? After you change the diet, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it all the way. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, then they start making healthier decisions. He will eat lettuce and spinach, and I'll put him a bowl of mixed veggies, and he'll eat it. Yeah. He used to not do that before because he preferred the sweet, sugary, or really salty foods, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, and I've definitely seen that with a lot of kids where they're super picky, and so I'd say like gluten and dairy are probably the most common, foods that I see, and where children with autism have problems with those. Not all the children, but I do food, allergy as well as food sensitivity testing. And so one of the other tests that we want to do, and I've talked about it on, in some of my videos before, but there's a condition called folate receptor antibodies. And that's a condition that is actually an autoimmune condition, meaning that the body, the immune system is making these proteins or these antibodies that actually attack the brain. And there have been research studies that find that 75% of children with autism have this condition. And the one thing that it does is that it's attacking the brain, so that creates brain inflammation, which then, of course, you don't have completely normal brain function. And the other thing is that it blocks folate, which is a very important B vitamin, important for brain development. It blocks folate from getting into the brain cells. And then that, of course, further causes problems with brain development. But one of the things that they found is that dairy, if a child has that condition, that dairy products like, cow's milk, even goat milk, sheep milk, camel milk products, or cheese, ice cream, all of those products, they have a protein in them called folate receptor antigen. And if a child has that condition, then dairy products will trigger the body to make more of those antibodies, those proteins that are attacking the brain. And so that's, and again, 75% of children with autism have that condition. And so that's something that's one reason why I think so many children with autism do better when you take dairy out of the diet. So we haven't tested anything for that one.
Oh, we gotta do that.
So. Yeah, but that's one of the tests that we're wanting to do. That it's a concern with finances, because that one is only done through a research lab, because it's based on very new research. That condition was only discovered in 2005, and there have been a few research studies that have been published on it since then. But it's still only done through a research lab, where it's not covered by insurance, and that one is $250. So that's one of the tests that we're hoping to do in the future. So. Basically when we do all these tests, we look for nutrient deficiencies, see, a lot of children have yeast overgrowth, or they have problems in their gut, too much bad bacteria or other kinds of issues. And then we're basically just trying to treat the underlying causes, treating whatever we find. So if there's nutrient deficiencies, we give those nutrients, like some of those vitamins we've given to Ethan.
Because you're not just guessing, you're actually doing these things because of the test results.
Yeah, so when we, did a number of other tests to look for nutrient deficiencies and food allergies and sensitivities. So some of these were things that we based on, the dietary changes were based on some lab results. And then there are more tests that we're wanting to do. So, yeah. And I know that he, he's made improvements in his communication as well.
Yes. So, yeah. He is more loving. Mm-hmm. Before, there's no way he would have said, I love you. No, he was like, I love you, mommy. I love you, daddy. And he'll say, good night, mommy. Good night, daddy. Good night, Victoria. Good night, the whole family. He has echolalia, which means that he repeats everything. He doesn't, everything is structured. There's no putting words together. He can't do that. He just, whatever he hears, he repeats. So that is a challenge for him, an added challenge for him, because he can't, if there's something that he doesn't know the word for, or he's never heard it before, then he can't explain how he feels. Or but I think I went off something. Communication has been a problem for him because of that, but he's getting so much better. He is able to say, I'm hungry, can I have water, please? I'm gonna go to sleep, let's go to sleep, things that he wouldn't be able to say before, that he is doing now. He runs to us, he hugs us, he squeezes us, he kisses us. This morning he was not having the best morning, but when I was leaving him, I said, hey, Ethan, I'm gonna go, goodbye. He said, bye, mommy, I love you. And even blue kisses was something I would have never thought to see before, because of how frustrated he was before. When I feel sick, I feel frustrated, and I feel like he was sick and he didn't know how to say, I feel like crap. Can you do something? Help me. But it's like I could see it. He's a real relief. I could see relief in him.
And I remember the first visit that we had, the first visit when he came in, and I remember the first whole half hour of the visit, he was screaming and he was like trying to hit you, and and he was just pretty much screaming for the first whole half hour, and then the dad finally had to take him outside just so we could talk. And I mean, it's been a huge change that I've seen in him. The last visit that he came in, I mean, he was calm, he was able to play with toys appropriately. I haven't seen any aggression at the most recent visit, and he's just so much calmer, and he'll let
takes
her
one step directions. Can you go pick a toy? And he'll go and get it. Before there's no way he would have followed directions. And stop. He's understanding things. It was such a difficult day that day. We came early. We walked. We had it. Now he tells me if his dad is sick right now, and he's telling his dad, "Okay, Daddy, you need to go see the doctor. The doctor can help you."
That's great.
I think he's associating, I feel better. When I see the doctor, I feel better. This is what you need to do, Dad.
So that's great. He's just made so much improvement, and I mean, there's still things that we're trying to work on, improve. But I mean, it's just great to see all the progress that he has made. And I just want people to know that there are treatments available for autism, and that if we really look at the research and we treat these underlying conditions, that improvement is possible. And it's not just things to mask the symptoms, but it's really treating the underlying causes. Especially a lot of children that I've seen that are very aggressive, once we get gut issues resolved and things like that, then we see marked improvement most of the time. So was there anything else that you wanted to
so I want to tell people, it's not easy to do all these things for them. It's not a big step. It's a lot of steps that you need to take forward. And there's a lot of times where I've had to step back, but then, I keep my hopes up and I just go one step forward again, because I see the difference in him, because I see how he feels, because he looks happy. Now, he recently had a haircut. He was able to sit down and get a haircut, which I didn't think was going to happen ever, because of how sensitive he is with his face. But he was happy. I took pictures. He was moving. He's still hyper, but not like before. And he was aggressive. And it took me a while before I actually made the decision to come and see you, but it was well worth it, and I wish I would have done it even sooner.
But the good news is that he's young too, so that's the thing is that, you know, when children are young, like the younger I can work with children, the better results, you know, typically that we'll get. I mean, I do work with young adults, with older adults too, even, but definitely the younger that we can work with him, the better. And I have seen cases of children who, you know, we got them very young, 2, 3, 4 years old, and there are, you know, the children that we've seen dramatic improvement, you know. There are a few cases of children that I've seen where they have actually lost their autism diagnosis, where they don't look autistic anymore. A lot of them still have difficulty sometimes with, like, you know, picking up on nonverbal cues or social skills or those kind of things. But you know, they're you know, for the most part, their language and behavior is better, and you know, not having all the behavioral issues and some of the OCD types of things. So definitely, you know, improvement is possible.
Yeah, and every little thing helps.
Yeah,
Every little
you
thing.
know. So yeah, and so just wanted to let you know that we'll be wrapping up soon. But just wanted to, one of the things that we wanted to let you know is that currently Ethan's family has a GoFundMe campaign that we helped to organize for them. And we posted their story on our Facebook page, and we invite you to go to their page and check it out, and then to make a contribution if, you know, the spirit moves you to do so. So, you know, so one of the reasons that we started doing GoFundMe was we started doing it, you know, of course, mainly to help out families. And so, like we talked about some of these tests, because a lot of the work that I do is based on cutting edge research and very new research. And so some of these tests, like I said, are only available through research labs where, you know, it's not covered by insurance. I mean, I try to do everything as much as possible, you know, labs and everything that we can do that are covered by insurance. But some of these labs, like I said, are not covered by insurance. So it's helpful for that. And we can use that also for supplements or medicines or really anything, you know, that's not covered by insurance. And so another reason that we started doing GoFundMe is that sometimes, and people can certainly do GoFundMe on their own, but if you do GoFundMe on your own, because the families are receiving those funds directly, then they may be liable to pay taxes on the funds that they receive through GoFundMe. But when we set it up through our office, then basically we just have the funds that are going directly towards his account. And then because it's not going through you, then you wouldn't have to pay taxes on that. So that's a big reason why we started doing the GoFundMe for the family, so that way they wouldn't have to pay taxes on, you know, the funds that they receive through GoFundMe. So yeah, so again, check out their page and feel free to share that. So we again want to thank you for being here. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce you to Anna, and through her to Ethan. So again, you know, check out their GoFundMe campaign that we've organized. And we also want to thank you for being here. Wish you all very much happy holidays. And then just another reminder, if you want to talk with me personally about questions that you have about health concerns, then we do offer a no-charge phone consultation. Just call our office at 808-425-2987. You'll find the contact information on our Facebook page. And mahalo, we will see you in 3 weeks. We'll be taking a break for the holidays. So our next Facebook Live event, again, will be in 3 weeks. Mahalo and aloha.